All right, welcome back to Crit Catch. I'm Michael.
And I'm Skylar.
And I'm trying to finish off these bats.
We're playing Soul Blazer.
Yes.
Where there's bats.
Lots of... Oh, God.
Yeah, that has had an exceptionally amount of slow spawning bats.
Get out of here.
I was kind of wondering why you hadn't killed him.
Well, there's an order of operations, and like right now my brain's like conversations and bats. And...
Well, so where we left off, we were talking about... So a conversation I've seen crop up a little bit recently is difficulty at the cost of accessibility and sort of what that's worth. And I've seen two very large sides come out of it, which is one, I think, which I don't know that I agree with either of these sides. I think there's definitely another avenue, but I'll get to that later. But the first side seems to be that, like, effectively, not all games are meant to be played by all people.
Mm-hmm. The
other side of it is basically games should have and I think we saw this when, like, some of the Mass Effect games and stuff, like, games should have a story mode so that they can be enjoyed by mass audiences who may not have... Whoa! Yep. What's up, Poseidon?
I think... Oh, God.
You have to magic him.
Nope.
That sounded a whole lot like nothing happened.
Yeah, that's right. Magic doesn't actually work on bosses.
Oh, like any boss whatsoever?
At least, yeah. I think there's one spell that works on the last boss.
Is this actually a boss? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's the boss music going on.
God, his health bar is green.
Yeah, so that's a thing that happens with the bosses where, like, once their health actually gets longer than the bar allotment for the screen.
Yeah, because it's like changing colors as you hit him more.
Damn it.
That seems like bullshit.
Yeah, well, not everything can be fair.
Speaking of difficulty.
Anyway, you were talking about the arguments for accessibility and difficulty and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of a branch of achievement, and I think you've heard me whine at length about some stuff from back in the day when we played World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And so two schools of thought, which is not everything's meant to be played by everybody. The other one is everything should be made accessible so that, anyone who wants to enjoy the aesthetic or story or whatever can, without potentially having to submit themselves to hours and hours of gameplay. And I don't know that I wholly agree with... do you have a herb?
I do. It's a quick.
Okay. I don't know that I fully agree with, like, either school of thought there, but I do find myself in a much different situation these days with, I work a full-time job, and I do have, like, other hobbies and other responsibilities even that don't let me play nearly as many games as I used to when I was younger. At the same time, I still hold true that, what was it? We were like the 6th guild on our server to kill the Lich King hard mode.
5th or 6th, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next expansion came out, but you could still go back, kill the Lich King, like, fucking easy mode.
Get the titles.
And get Bane of the Fallen King. And it's like, all right, come on, man. like, I worked hard for that.
Well, and so...
Whoa!
Yeah, the king. King, are you okay?
Well, I've only been king for a day.
So this would actually be a great discussion, I think, for a longer setting. And actually, there's a lot of...
Sure.
So I guess for anybody who's listening, anybody who cares, we have some stuff in mind for kind of longer discussions or whatever.
When we're not getting constantly distracted by snails.
Yeah, right. But let me talk to the king first, and I'll speak to the difficulty thing.
Because goodness knows, I'm very invested in what I'm watching.
I'm a magician. If you collect the Master's 3 symbols, I will call the Phoenix.
Okay.
You saved me. Thank you very much. I treated the stale gnome very poorly. I would not trust all of the things Gnome was saying. He told me monsters would invade our town. I put him in prison. See, Gnome, I believe you will find what you are looking for. By the way, have you heard of the Phoenix?
I literally just talked to one of your maids.
Yeah. Whoever collects the Master's 3 symbols, the red hot mirror, the red hot ball,
and the red hot?
And the red hot stick. Game, why do you do this?
It's a mirror, a ball, and a stick. It's just one of those paddles that you just go like with.
Shall have the phoenix help them. That person will inherit the strongest power. If you collect them all, bring them to me.
I don't believe him. Wait, talk to his right hand maiden.
I'm a magician. If you collect them, you two are weird. You guys say the same thing.
It's just one magician split in two. Right.
Yeah. Where
talking about more long form?
Yeah. But so just to kind of like, where is it? There it is. How did you get in? I don't know, man. The wall just wasn't there.
Interesting.
So if we collect all those Master's emblems, a thing happens. It's like there's like a hidden thing in this game for collecting all of that, which was also kind of cool for the time.
Yeah.
See, look, the jail's open. What's up, little dude? There's a house in the desert to Arrow. Mechanical monsters that cannot be defeated by normal swords exist there. What's up, Gnome? My name is Gnome. I used to live in Dr. Leo's house. But what does snails sound like?
Have you ever seen the... Oh,
to
I
build
hate it.
a machine that would call upon evil.
Are you okay?
Because he refused. Hang on, I have something stuck in my throat. Because he refused, he was taken to Magrid Castle. He secretly gave us 4 stones and told us to run away. He's just like got a beautiful voice, but he can't keep the snail goo out of it. Those stones are the keys to the worlds of evil. I can't
Yeah, no,
keep
you're
doing
good.
that. The other stones are in Dr. Leo's laboratory and the castle of Magrid. Here, take this silver stone and hurry to the laboratory where Dr. Leo was held. Okay, now.
Yep.
All right, accessibility and difficulty. For the brief time that I have before we get to some other interesting thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's a pragmatic approach to it in the sense that it is logistically impossible to make things that are both interesting to everybody and accessible inherently to everybody just by their nature. So like look at something like say like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, right? Like now there are easy modes on that game 100% for people that just want to kind of enjoy the social atmosphere, but at some level you still have to be able to use those controllers and have even a minimal sense of timing to actually make it work. And so
I'll tell you what, since we're getting into this, let's just kind of podcast the rest of this episode because this will be our last one for tonight, I think.
Okay.
So before we get into all of because I figured that's what this was.
Yeah.
So
there are machines lurking around here which only the powerful Zantetsu sword can defeat. Talk to a certain door to get you into the room. Thanks. Okay, what do you want to do?
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, I want you to keep going with that thought.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want you to get distracted. So
no, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so nothing can be totally accessible and interesting at the same time.
Yeah.
From a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you have the opportunity to, and you have considered your game, I think you should make every effort to make what you think the core component of your game is accessible to people. I will say that gets really complicated though, because you were talking about WoW and our experiences doing what was harder core rating back in the day. I mean, now there's mythic difficulty in Warcraft, which is above heroic, and heroic is tuned realistically more like what normal difficulty used to be. And then there's also LFR, which is the the story difficulty, and that is kind of their answer to letting people see the story content they wouldn't normally see otherwise.
You just kept going anyways. This is fucking wild.
Oh yeah, this whole factory, multiple tiers.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also the okay, these I can't kill them yet. Now there's additional problems. It's not just as simple as saying here is your difficulty.
Yeah.
because what does that difficulty represent or mean to other people? So like in Warcraft, you have the LFR difficulty, which, I mean, it's people still wipe on it because some people just, I'm going to go get another herb, so I'm going to be leaving here for a minute. So people still like die on LFR because some people just literally don't know how to play the game or pay attention to it. And if you get the right, or I guess wrong combination of people who don't know what they're doing, you can have a really miserable time. Also, the change in this one, there's all the little holes in the mountain now from where their houses are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like looking for it.
Yeah. But so that's a difficult thing to wrestle with. But it's more than just that, was what I was getting at, is that like what is the reward, you know? And so for a lot of people, getting gear used to be the reward in Warcraft. And so when people have access to gear that, with things like, this is going to make no sense if you don't play WoW, but there's a random chance for an item to get stronger by a certain number of levels, because like the items themselves have levels.
Well, let's change up the example then a little bit. So like think of Mass Effect. I'm just gonna save over and over. Fuck, I dropped my glasses.
Yes, you did. Do you want them?
No, I'll grab them in a second.
Okay.
I was gonna say, think of Mass Effect, because Mass Effect had like a story mode effectively, which, if I recall, it even described itself as like, this is for people who don't care about like the gameplay or the combat whatsoever, and you just want like the story. But to me, like, I don't think I would have enjoyed that game without some of the tense situations created by the gameplay.
Well, and that's what I mean by like, you know, having the option, right? Like you choose in that case whether or not to set.
Sorry.
You choose whether or not to set that difficulty.
Yeah.
And if your game has a style of play that allows for that, then that's good.
Is that where the Zentetsu is?
It might be, but that door might be locked because I don't think you get the sword that early. Let me check. Because yes, D-pad. Oh, I do get the sword that early.
Well, okay. Whoa, that looks cool. Got like magic coming off of it.
Yeah, metal slaying magic. So interesting
Kansas.
point. Just we can actually go back and kill some of those enemies from before that, like in older worlds that we couldn't kill. And you can actually get stronger weapons than this by doing that, but they're level locked. So, like, I can get like the second strongest sword in the game, but I have to be a much higher level to use it.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, so in the case of Mass Effect, like, it actually has, it's that mix of action and statistic design, which I have a whole spiel about in terms of like how those two things interact with one another in game design. Because you can basically have different types of actions, or you can have, and you can have statistical values to those actions, and both of those can contribute. Sometimes they balance each other well, sometimes they interfere with each other. It depends.
Well, that's one of the strange things, because even with Mass Effect, they started to move away from some of the more RPG element stuff and made it a lot more action-based, which a while back we talked about the difference between the slower RPGs and the action-based RPGs.
Well, you know, that's a good example of, you know, in terms of this idea of accessibility, where the more action-oriented you are, the harder it can become for somebody to engage unless you heavily like if they have problems, you know, be they, you know, just they're just inherently not good at, like, say, aiming, or they actually have like a physiological condition that makes it harder to do that.
There's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, that's where you can use the statistical balance to weigh things in a favor that still lets them experience the game, right?
Yeah.
Like you can change how hard something hits. You can change, be that your gun on the enemy or how hard the enemy hits you. You can balance the number of times an enemy uses an ability. So that's the type of thing where like the nature of that game works in the favor of creating extra accessibility. Now, we are at time. I want to keep talking. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, we can do one.
Yeah. All right.
Because I'm on this too.
Yeah. Next time on Crit Catch, we will keep having this discussion, and
Yeah.
we'll see you guys. Well, for us, it's going to be like
A second.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
So.
In like a couple days.
Let's forget all about it.
Yeah.